What if the reason someone believed in love again was not a grand promise, not a dramatic sacrifice, but a simple act of kindness they never expected from you? They met like most love stories begin, not with fireworks, but with a moment so small it could have been ignored. A smile held a second longer. A door kept open. A question asked with genuine care. In that moment, kindness spoke before love ever found its words. Love does not arrive loudly. It arrives softly, dressed in kindness. It sits beside you when the world feels heavy and doesn't ask you to explain your pain. It listens. It understands. That is why love survives, not because two hearts are perfect, but because they choose to be kind when perfection fails. He was kind to her in ways she never asked for. He remembered the little things, the way she liked her tea, the silence she needed after a long day, the way her eyes dimmed when she pretended she was fine. His kindness wasn't dramatic. It was consistent. And consistency, wrapped in gentleness, became love. She, in return, learned that kindness is not weakness. She learned it takes courage to be gentle in a world that teaches you to protect yourself by being cold. She stayed kind even when she was misunderstood. Even when words hurt. Even when love tested her patience. Because love that is real does not harden the heart, it softens it. There were days when they disagreed. Love does not mean agreement, it means respect. In those moments, kindness became their bridge. They chose calm words over sharp ones. They chose listening over winning. They chose to remember that hurting each other would never heal anything. Kindness became the reason arguments ended with understanding instead of regret. Love stories are not written only in happy moments. They are written in apologies that come from the heart. In forgiveness that arrives before pride. In kindness that says, I still choose you, even when things feel broken. Because love is not proven by how you act when everything is perfect, but by how kind you remain when it is not. There were silent nights too. Nights where distance crept in, where words felt heavy. And yet, kindness showed up again, in a text sent without ego, in a hand held without questions, in a presence that said, I'm here, even if we don't know what to say. Kindness filled the silence where fear once lived. Over time, love matured. It stopped needing to be loud. It stopped needing to be seen. It learned that the deepest form of love is safety. And safety is built by kindness, day after day, choice after choice. Love stayed alive not because they never hurt each other, but because they never stopped being kind. Always be kind, not just when love feels easy, but when it feels fragile. Be kind when you're tired. Be kind when you're angry. Be kind when walking away would be simpler. Because kindness is the reason love feels like home instead of a battlefield. In the end, love is not measured by grand gestures or poetic words. It is measured by how gently you treat someone's heart when it is in your hands. And if there is one promise love asks us to keep, it is this: no matter how the story unfolds, always be kind. Kindness is the first language of love, spoken long before hearts dare to confess what they feel. Before love learns how to say, I miss you, or, I need you, it learns how to be gentle. It shows itself in simple moments, when someone notices your silence, when they slow their pace to walk beside you, when they choose softness instead of indifference. Love does not begin with attraction, it begins with care, and care is kindness in its purest form. In every love story, there is a moment where kindness opens the door. A small gesture that makes someone feel seen in a world that often looks past them. It might be a message sent just to check in, or a quiet understanding when words fail. These moments don't demand attention, yet they leave the deepest mark. They tell the heart, you are safe here, and safety is where love dares to grow. Kindness teaches love how to breathe. Without it, love becomes heavy, demanding, and fragile. With it, love becomes patient. Kindness listens without interrupting, understands without accusing, and stays without conditions. It does not rush the heart or force emotions to bloom before their time. It allows love to unfold naturally, like trust slowly forming between two souls learning each other's rhythms. When kindness comes first, love feels less like possession and more like presence. It doesn't ask, what can you give me? But wonders, how can I make this easier for you? This kind of love doesn't keep score. It doesn't measure effort or weigh sacrifices. It simply shows up, again and again, in small, thoughtful ways that say more than dramatic promises ever could. Kindness is how love introduces itself on ordinary days. On days without celebration, without passion, without certainty. It is there when moods change, when fears surface, when past wounds try to speak louder than the present moment. Love that begins with kindness knows how to hold space for imperfections, knowing that being human is not a flaw but a shared experience. Before love becomes commitment, before it becomes forever, it is kindness that decides whether a heart stays open or slowly closes. It is kindness that teaches love how to treat another heart as something precious, something borrowed, something that deserves gentleness even when misunderstood, even when emotions feel tangled, even when the path forward is unclear and the heart is still learning how to trust what it feels. Small gentle acts are the quiet architects of deep emotional bonds, building connection in ways that loud declarations never can. Love does not rely on grand moments alone, it survives in the everyday details that often go unnoticed. A cup of tea prepared without being asked, a message sent just to say, "I thought of you," a pause taken to truly listen instead of rushing to respond. These acts seem simple, yet they carry the weight of care, and care is what binds hearts together. In love, it is not the intensity of gestures that creates closeness, but their consistency. When kindness becomes a habit, it slowly rewires the way two people feel around each other. Trust begins to form, not because promises are made, but because actions keep proving themselves. Each small act says, "You matter," and when heard repeatedly, the heart starts believing it. Love grows comfortable in this space, learning that it does not need to be loud to be real. Gentle acts soften emotional walls built by past disappointments. Many hearts enter love guarded, shaped by experiences where care was missing or conditional. When kindness shows up patiently, without expectations, those walls begin to loosen. A reassuring touch during moments of doubt, a calm presence during stress, an understanding smile when words fail, these gestures tell the heart that it no longer needs armor. Emotional safety grows where kindness is steady. These small acts also teach love how to endure. Passion may fade in intensity, but kindness keeps the connection alive. It fills the quiet spaces between conversations, the ordinary days between special ones. Love learns that being there matters more than being impressive. It learns that attention, given freely and without demand, strengthens bonds far more deeply than dramatic declarations ever could. Kindness in small forms also creates emotional intimacy. Remembering details, respecting boundaries, honoring feelings even when they are difficult to understand, these actions communicate emotional intelligence and care. They allow two people to feel emotionally held, even when life pulls them in different directions. Love becomes less about dependency and more about mutual support. Over time, these gentle acts turn into shared memories that define the relationship. Not the big events, but the quiet routines. The way someone checks in before the day begins, the patience shown during misunderstandings, the warmth offered during silence. These moments layer themselves over time, creating a bond that feels deep, familiar, and irreplaceable, held together by kindness that never demanded recognition but always left its mark. Loving without conditions is one of the bravest forms of kindness, especially in a world that teaches us to protect ourselves by holding back. In a love story shaped by gentleness, love is not offered as a transaction but as a gift. It does not arrive with rules or silent expectations. It chooses to care even when there is no guarantee of return, trusting that love is not something to control but something to experience fully. Unconditional love does not mean ignoring pain or accepting disrespect. It means choosing empathy over judgment when emotions become complicated. It means staying kind even when misunderstandings arise, even when words hurt more than intended. In those moments, love reveals its depth by refusing to turn cruel. Kindness becomes the shield that protects the relationship from turning into a battlefield. There are moments in every love story when vulnerability feels dangerous. When one heart opens and fears being taken for granted. Loving without conditions means allowing that vulnerability to exist without punishment. It means offering reassurance instead of withdrawal, patience instead of distance. Love learns that fear does not disappear through control, but through consistent kindness that proves safety over time. Sometimes loving unconditionally hurts because it asks the heart to remain gentle when it wants to close itself off. It asks for understanding when anger feels easier. Yet it is in these moments that love becomes transformative. Kindness turns pain into connection by saying, I see your flaws, and I choose you anyway. Not because perfection is expected, but because humanity is understood. This kind of love does not keep emotional score. It does not measure who gave more or who cared first. It understands that love is not a competition but a shared space where both hearts are allowed to be imperfect. Kindness allows mistakes to become lessons rather than reasons to leave. It allows growth to happen without fear of abandonment. Loving without conditions also means choosing compassion during emotional storms. When one person is overwhelmed, the other becomes calm. When one is uncertain, the other offers steadiness. Kindness adapts, shifting between strength and softness depending on what love needs in that moment. In love, pain does not always come from betrayal, sometimes it comes from exhaustion, fear, or old wounds resurfacing. Unconditional kindness does not demand explanations right away. It offers presence before answers, comfort before solutions, allowing healing to happen naturally without pressure. This kind of love does not promise that everything will be easy, but it promises that cruelty will never be the response. It remains gentle in tone, careful with words, and respectful of emotional boundaries, even when emotions are heavy, even when patience is tested, even when walking away would feel less painful than staying kind. Kindness during conflict is where love is tested most deeply, because disagreement has a way of revealing what words of affection try to hide. In moments of tension, love is no longer measured by sweet gestures but by restraint, respect, and the willingness to protect each other's hearts even while emotions run high. Choosing kindness during conflict means remembering that the person across from you is not the enemy, even when frustration tries to convince you otherwise. Arguments often begin when one heart feels unheard. Kindness enters not to silence emotion, but to guide it. It slows the voice, softens the tone, and replaces accusation with honesty. Instead of saying words meant to wound, love learns to speak words meant to explain. Kindness understands that harsh language may release anger, but it leaves scars that love must later try to heal. In love, silence can be as loud as shouting. There are moments when words fail, when emotions become too tangled to express clearly. Kindness in silence does not withdraw or punish. It stays present. It offers space without abandonment, allowing feelings to settle without turning distance into rejection. This kind of silence says, I'm not leaving, I just need a moment to understand. Conflict often tempts love to become defensive. Pride rises quickly, urging the heart to protect itself by pushing the other away. Kindness resists this instinct. It chooses vulnerability over victory. It allows apologies to come without forcing blame. It values connection more than being right, understanding that winning an argument can still mean losing emotional closeness. When kindness leads during disagreement, love remains a safe place even in discomfort. It listens fully instead of preparing a response. It acknowledges feelings even when it disagrees with conclusions. This validation does not mean surrendering boundaries, but it ensures that both hearts feel respected, not dismissed. Kindness also shapes how conflict ends. Instead of lingering resentment, it creates closure. A gentle touch, a sincere apology, a quiet reassurance can repair what anger threatened to break. Love learns that healing begins not with explanations, but with care. There are times when conflict cannot be resolved immediately. Kindness accepts this without panic. It trusts the bond enough to pause, knowing that space taken with care is different from distance taken in anger. Love stays patient, refusing to turn unresolved moments into permanent wounds. In every love story, disagreements are unavoidable, but cruelty is always a choice. Kindness during conflict ensures that even hard moments are handled with dignity, preserving trust, emotional safety, and the understanding that love does not disappear simply because emotions are difficult to manage. Love that lasts is not held together by intensity alone, but by a daily decision to remain kind even when familiarity settles in. In the beginning, love feels effortless, fueled by excitement and discovery. Over time, routines replace novelty, and it is kindness that keeps love alive within those routines. It becomes the quiet force that turns ordinary days into meaningful ones, reminding two hearts why they chose each other in the first place. Choosing kindness every day means showing care when there is no audience and no reward. It means being gentle when tired, patient when stressed, and understanding when life feels overwhelming. Love matures when kindness becomes instinctive rather than intentional, when caring for the other person feels as natural as breathing. These everyday choices create a bond that feels stable, not fragile. Lasting love learns how to evolve without losing softness. People grow, priorities shift, and challenges reshape emotions. Kindness allows love to adapt instead of breaking under change. It creates room for personal growth while still maintaining emotional closeness. Love does not demand that someone stay the same, it offers support as they become who they are meant to be. Kindness also protects love from neglect. It notices when emotional distance begins to form and gently bridges it. A simple check-in, a thoughtful gesture, or a moment of undivided attention can prevent small gaps from turning into deep divides. Love that chooses kindness refuses to let silence replace connection. In long-lasting love, kindness becomes a form of commitment. It shows up in loyalty, respect, and emotional availability. It means choosing the relationship even on days when feelings feel quiet. Love learns that devotion is not always passionate, but it is always present. Kindness turns endurance into intimacy, allowing love to feel safe rather than stagnant. Over time, kindness becomes the memory love leans on. Not the dramatic moments, but the way someone stayed gentle through difficult seasons. The patience shown during uncertainty. The respect maintained during vulnerability. These memories create emotional security, reminding both hearts that love has been consistently cared for. Love that lasts does not survive by avoiding hardship, but by facing it together with compassion. Kindness keeps resentment from taking root, allowing forgiveness to arrive naturally. It chooses understanding over assumptions, empathy over impatience, and care over control. Each day offers a new chance to choose kindness again. In these repeated choices, love strengthens quietly, weaving trust, respect, and emotional warmth into something enduring, something steady, something that continues to grow even as time moves forward.